The transport ship moved slowly through the blue clouds of the alien world called Verdanis. The sky below was wide and shining, and the surface of the world looked like a living green ocean. Trees were so tall that their tops touched the low clouds, and their leaves glowed gently in shades of silver and emerald. Even from far above, the world felt alive, peaceful, and full of quiet secrets. Inside the ship, a young human girl named Lena Carver, only 14 years old, stood by a window. She looked down with wide eyes. Her heart beat fast, not with fear, but with excitement. Everything she had learned on Earth about Verdanis said it was one of the safest and friendliest alien worlds. Still, she had never traveled so far from home before. Her hands pressed against the glass as she watched a group of giant floating creatures glide across the sky like huge balloons. The ship's pilot, an older alien named Terrell, noticed her amazement. "You like the sky of Verdanis?" he asked in a warm voice. Lena nodded quickly. "It's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it." Terrell smiled. His skin was gentle blue, and his eyes had a soft silver shine. "You will see many beautiful things. Our forests have been peaceful for thousands of years. You came on a good day." Lena held her small backpack closer. "I hope I do everything right here." "You will," Terrell said kindly. "Humans are brave. That is why the exchange program invited you." Lena smiled a little. She had been chosen from hundreds of applicants to represent human students in an interspecies learning mission. She was the youngest, but she worked hard and always tried to stay positive. She wanted to show the aliens that humans were friendly, smart, and full of hope. The ship landed gently on a long silver platform. The doors opened, and warm, clean air flowed into the hallway. Lena stepped out and looked around in awe. The research habitat was huge. Its tall white walls curved like smooth waves, and its roofs glittered in the soft sunlight. The ground was covered in pale blue grass that bent like silk whenever someone walked on it. A group of aliens greeted her with smiles. They wore light gray uniforms and held data tablets in thin, delicate hands. "Welcome, Lena Carver," one of them said. "We are honored to have you here." Lena bowed politely the way she had practiced. "Thank you for having me. I'm excited to learn." The aliens exchanged happy expressions. Terrell guided her through the main gate, and the walls opened like petals to reveal the inner habitat. Inside, the structure felt even more peaceful. Small fountains flowed through open halls. Light shone from crystals hanging from the ceiling, giving the place a calm, gentle glow. Lena noticed many animals moving across the grassy floors, small creatures shaped like soft triangles, glowing insects that changed color as they flew, and furry little animals that rolled like balls. But there was one presence that caught her attention more than anything else. A huge, transparent wall stood at the center of the habitat. Behind it, resting on the bright green earth, was a creature so big that Lena felt her breath catch. He was known as a Bruggen beast. But the aliens called him Ruar. Ruar was enormous, taller than 3 humans stacked on top of each other, and long like a heavy stone bridge. His fur shimmered with silver and deep blue. His eyes glowed like warm gold. His head looked powerful but gentle at the same time, like a creature who understood more than he let others see. Lena had read about Bruggen beasts. They were ancient guardians of Verdanis, strong but kind. They protected forests from natural dangers and were known for their deep empathy. They could sense emotions from other beings, even from far away. Ruar lifted his head slowly and looked directly at Lena. She froze. His golden eyes were deep. They felt like sunlight sliding through a window on a winter morning, warm, safe, and watching. Terrell placed a hand on her shoulder. "Do not be afraid. Ruar is peaceful. He just likes to understand new people." Lena swallowed and stepped a little closer to the transparent barrier. "He's beautiful," she whispered. Roar blinked once, then let out a soft, rumbling sound that gently vibrated the ground. It was not a roar. It was more like a deep purr, a greeting sound that Bruggen beasts used when they sensed goodwill. The alien scientists smiled. "He likes you," one said. "That is very rare." Lena felt her cheeks warm. I like him too." The team led her down the hall toward the learning wing of the habitat. As she walked, she kept glancing back at the barrier. Roar watched her the whole time, his eyes calm and curious. The learning wing was bright and filled with screens showing maps, symbols, and different forest creatures. There were quiet rooms for study, open gardens for practice, and small platforms for observing wildlife. Terrell explained, "Today you will take your first orientation test. It is simple. It only measures how a human mind handles alien patterns." Lena nodded, though she felt a small weight form in her stomach. She wanted to do well. She wanted everyone here to know she was capable. A scientist opened a door to a small white room. Inside, a chair sat in the center, surrounded by soft lights. "This test is safe," a scientist said kindly. "It only shows images and sounds. You may feel mild confusion, but nothing harmful." Lena took a deep breath and entered the room. She sat on the chair and adjusted the headband on her forehead as they instructed. The door closed quietly. Lights dimmed. Soft blue shapes appeared in the air around her, circles, lines, moving dust-like particles. A gentle tone played in the background. At first, everything felt fine. Lena followed the shapes with her eyes and tried to tap the small pad on her arm whenever she recognized a pattern. But as the minutes passed, the shapes grew faster. The lights became brighter, the tones layered into more complex sounds. None of it was painful, but it was overwhelming. Her heart began to beat faster. Her breathing grew shallow. She tried to keep up. She wanted to show she was strong. But she felt the pressure inside her mind build like a tight knot. Her fingers trembled over the tapping pad. Outside the room, Roar lifted his head sharply. The golden glow in his eyes flickered. His breathing changed. His ears pushed forward as if listening to something far away. He sensed Lena's emotional stress. Bruggen beasts had strong empathy. They could feel emotional waves from others like distant winds brushing their fur. Roar stood up slowly. His heavy feet made soft thumps on the ground. He walked closer to the transparent barrier and pressed his head gently against it, trying to feel the signals more clearly. Inside the test room, Lena tried to stay calm, but her chest felt tight. The lights moved too fast now. The sounds overlapped until they felt like a heavy echo around her. She whispered to herself, "I'm okay. I'm okay." But her vision blurred slightly. Her shoulders shook. She was not hurt, but she was no longer in control. Outside, the aliens monitoring the test noticed the readings. "Her stress levels are rising," one said. "We should lower the intensity." Another tapped the controls quickly, trying to reduce the visuals. At that same moment, Roar let out a low, deep rumble. It rolled through the habitat like distant thunder. The scientists around him jumped in surprise. "Why is he reacting like this?" one asked. Terrell checked the display. "He senses her emotional overload." "But she is fine," another scientist said. "The test is not dangerous." "Roar does not understand tests," Terrell replied. "He only understands feelings." Roar's rumble grew louder, not angry, but worried. He paced back and forth in front of the barrier, his tail brushing the ground like a restless flag. Inside the test room, Lena pressed her hands against her knees. She squeezed her eyes shut. Her breathing became uneven. The lights flickered faster around her. She whispered again, "I can do it. I can do it." But she didn't sound sure anymore. At that moment, the entire habitat shook gently. Alarms blinked on the walls. The head scientist looked up. What was that? Another checked the systems. Something triggered a containment shift in the main power field. Tyrell frowned. The field around Ruar is reacting to his emotional wave. Stabilize it, someone shouted. But it was too late. The energy barrier around Ruar flickered with bright white sparks. The whole habitat hummed with rising tension. And Ruar, sensing Lena's distress reaching its highest peak, lifted his head and released a long, deep sound that echoed like a warning across the entire research center. It was the moment everything changed, and the countdown toward the explosion began. The habitat hummed with tension. Lena's small body shook slightly as she sat on the chair in the test room, trying to control her breathing. The lights around her flickered and shifted, following the program's complex patterns. The sounds layered over one another like rushing wind. None of it could physically hurt her, but her mind felt like it was spinning too fast to keep up. Outside, Roar, the massive Bruggen beast, continued pacing in front of the transparent barrier. His golden eyes followed every movement Lena made. He could sense her emotional turmoil as if it were his own. The feelings were small but sharp: fear, stress, frustration, and a deep desire to do well. The creature rumbled softly, a sound that vibrated the floor, almost like a heartbeat echoing through the habitat. The alien scientists in the control room were busy. Their fingers flew over holographic panels, trying to stabilize the readings. Most of the systems were fine. But the connection between the test room and Roar's barrier was causing strange energy fluctuations. "He's reacting to her stress," Tyrell said quietly, his voice calm but urgent. "But the test isn't dangerous," one of the junior scientists protested. "She is not in physical harm." Tyrell shook his head. "It is not about harm. Bruggen beasts react to feelings, not objects. This is emotional, and he doesn't understand boundaries like we do." In the test room, Lena felt the vibrations of Roar's rumbling. At first, she thought it was the building shaking from the machines. Then she realized it was coming from him. Somehow, she could feel his presence even through the thick energy barrier. She pressed her hands against her knees and whispered to herself, "Stay calm. Stay calm." Ruar paused in his pacing. He lowered his massive head and tilted it slightly, focusing on her. His fur shimmered softly in the dim lights of the habitat. Lena felt an unusual calm wash over her. Even though her mind was racing, the golden glow of his eyes felt like a warm promise. "You are not alone." The control room was tense. "The barrier is reacting," said a scientist. "It's overloading the system. If it continues, we may have a full containment breach." Tyrell frowned. "We cannot move him. That will make him more agitated. We have to let him calm down naturally." But the readings on the screen were rising faster than anyone expected. Lena's heart pounded in her chest as she realized something strange. The light patterns in the test room were beginning to shift on their own. They weren't part of the program anymore. Circles and lines spun in ways they were never supposed to. The sounds warped. It was almost like the system was responding to Roar's rumble, and indirectly to her stress. She swallowed hard. I didn't do anything," she whispered. Roar let out a deeper rumble, almost like a sigh, but it carried energy through the barrier. Sparks of blue-white light danced along the edges of the transparent wall. The scientists gasped. "This is beyond our calculations," one said. "He's interacting with the test environment somehow." Tyrell's eyes narrowed. "Yes, but it is not dangerous, yet. Keep monitoring. Make sure Lena is safe." Inside the test room, Lena's hands shook. She tried to follow the patterns on the lights, but they were changing too fast. She closed her eyes for a moment, took a deep breath, and whispered softly, "I know you are there. I know you're watching." The golden eyes of Roar seemed to respond. He lowered his head closer to the barrier, his massive nose nearly touching the ground. His rumble grew louder, not threatening, but protective. The vibrations moved through the floor, filling the room like a calm but powerful pulse. Lena felt something in her chest shift. Her fear started to fade, replaced by a strange courage. Somehow, knowing that Roar was aware of her, watching her, made her feel stronger. She opened her eyes, focused again on the lights, and tapped the pad faster. She began to match the new patterns, even as they swirled unpredictably. The control room was silent for a moment. The scientists looked at the screens in awe. "She's keeping up," said one. "She's actually adapting." Terrell nodded. "Humans are capable of more than we often give them credit for. She is proving it now." Meanwhile, Roar shifted his massive weight. The energy barrier around him flickered again, and the room shivered. Lena felt the vibrations in her bones. For a second, she wanted to panic, but then she remembered his eyes. She focused, breathed deeply, and tried to let the rhythm of his rumble guide her movements. Time seemed to stretch. The lights spun faster, the sounds layered higher, and yet Lena managed to follow the patterns. Each tap of her hand became confident, precise. The panic that had threatened to overwhelm her melted into determination. Outside, Roar seemed to sense her newfound control. His golden eyes glimmered brighter. He let out a low, almost satisfied rumble. The energy barrier stabilized slightly, and the sparks along its edges dimmed. The control room let out quiet sighs of relief. "It's working," one scientist whispered. "The system is responding to her. To them." Terrell smiled slightly. "Ruar is not just a beast. He is intelligent. He understands connections. And Lena, she is human. That is why this works." Lena's fingers moved with confidence now. She could feel the rhythm of the lights, almost like music, almost like a conversation. The test room was no longer a place of stress. It was a challenge she could meet, with Roar silently encouraging her through the barrier. Then, suddenly, the lights blinked violently. A warning flashed on the main screen in the control room. "Containment field overload. 15 minutes to full system feedback." The scientists froze. One of them said, "The system, it's going to release stored energy. That is, the full feedback sequence. If it reaches maximum, the habitat will experience a massive energy surge." Terrell frowned deeply. "It will not harm life, but the effect will be visible across the entire facility. It is enormous." Inside the test room, Lena felt the vibration grow stronger. She realized the barrier around Ruar was not just protecting him, it was connected to the building itself. His feelings, her feelings, the energy of the test, they were all linked. She swallowed hard. I have to do something," she whispered. Ruar's eyes seemed to focus on her more sharply, as if he understood her thought. He moved closer to the barrier, his massive head lowering to ground level. His rumble became a soft, guiding pulse. Lena felt almost like he was telling her, "You can do this. You are stronger than you know." The scientists were now moving quickly. "We cannot stop it remotely," one said. "The manual override is too far. Only someone small enough to enter the maintenance tunnels can reset it." Terrell looked at Lena. His expression was serious but calm. "It is risky for you, but you are the only one who can move through the tunnels and stabilize the system in time." Lena's eyes widened. "Me? But I'm just a student." "You are more capable than you realize," Terrell said. "Bruggen beasts sense courage, and you have shown it already. Ruar has faith in you. So do I." Lena looked at the golden eyes of Ruar, still glowing through the barrier. She felt her fear mix with determination. She nodded. "Okay, I will do it." The scientists guided her to a narrow access hatch. It led to a tunnel system beneath the main floor. Only a small human could fit in the tight passages. Lena crawled in carefully, gripping the sides of the smooth walls. She felt the vibrations of the building beneath her, Roar's rumble guiding her steps like a quiet compass. Every few feet she passed energy conduits glowing with pale light. The hum of power filled the air. The countdown on her wrist display ticked down. 14 minutes, 13 minutes, 12 minutes. Time was short, but Lena kept moving, step by step. She could feel the power of the habitat, the energy stored in the system, and the quiet strength of Roar outside. Somehow, their connection made her faster, steadier. For the first time, Lena realized something important. Humans might be small, but they could face enormous challenges. Courage and determination were not measured in size. And Roar, a creature so big and powerful, had shown her that understanding, trust, and empathy could move even mountains. The tunnel bent sharply, and Lena slowed. A large control panel blocked her path. She would have to fix a misaligned connector to stabilize the energy flow. Her hands trembled, but she took a deep breath. She could feel Ruar's eyes in her mind, the golden warmth pushing her forward. "Focus," she whispered. "I can do this." The connector resisted at first. Sparks flickered dangerously. Lena gritted her teeth and pressed harder. Step by step, with careful motions, she managed to align the circuits. The glow softened slightly. She took a deep breath. One more connection, and the system could reset. Outside, Roar lowered his massive head to the ground. Sensing her effort, his rumble grew steady, like encouragement. Lena's heart pounded, but she felt something incredible. Connection, courage, strength beyond her fear, and somewhere deep in the habitat, the countdown continued. But Lena was ready. Lena's small hands shook as she reached the final section of the maintenance tunnel. The air smelled faintly of electricity and warm metal. The hum of the habitat systems was louder here, vibrating through the walls and into her bones. She could feel the energy pulsing, a living rhythm that made the ground beneath her legs almost soft with power. Her wrist display counted down. 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes. Time moved fast. The energy surge was coming, and if she failed to stabilize the system, the entire habitat would be hit by a massive release of stored energy. Nothing would be harmed physically. She knew that. But the wave of light and sound would be enormous. Every wall, every surface, every creature in the facility would feel it. Lena swallowed hard. She had never been in a situation like this before. Her fingers itched with nervous energy, but she remembered Roar's golden eyes. Somehow, she could feel him through the barrier, his presence calm, strong, and steady. His rumble vibrated faintly through the tunnel walls. "You can do this," she whispered to herself. "I can do this." The tunnel bent sharply. Ahead, she saw the main energy conduit. It was a long pipe glowing faintly blue, running from the reactor up into the core of the habitat. Several smaller control panels lined the sides, each blinking with tiny red and yellow warning lights. Lena approached the first panel. She read the instructions displayed on the small screen. The connectors needed to be realigned and reset, or the system would not stabilize. One wrong move, and the surge would happen automatically. Her small fingers worked quickly, pressing the connectors into place, aligning circuits, checking readings. Sparks flickered along one side, and a soft alarm buzzed in her ears, but she stayed focused. Her breathing slowed as she moved with careful precision. Outside the tunnel, the habitat seemed to sense the urgency. Roar lifted his massive head, eyes glowing brighter. The golden warmth of his gaze, though she could not see it from inside, was in her mind, a steady encouragement. "You are not alone," Lena whispered, almost in shock at how real the thought felt. She pressed the final connector in place. The panel blinked green. Step 1 complete. She moved on to the second panel. This one was larger and heavier, wires tangled like thick vines, and the readings flickered wildly. Her fingers slipped slightly. She paused. The countdown read 6 minutes, 42 seconds. Her heart pounded. She had never worked with technology like this before. But she remembered everything she had learned during her Earth training. Patience, observation, staying calm under pressure. She took a deep breath. Roar's rumble grew louder through the tunnel walls. It was steady, not frightening. Lena focused on the vibration, almost like listening to a heartbeat. Slowly, she moved the connectors into place, one by one. Sparks popped, but they were harmless. She ignored the noise. Finally, the second panel blinked green. Another step completed. Lena felt a spark of pride. But she knew the hardest part was still ahead. The tunnel narrowed sharply. She had to crawl forward, keeping her hands on the glowing edges of the conduit for balance. The vibrations grew stronger. She realized that the closer she moved to the main reactor, the more she could feel the pulse of energy flowing through the habitat. She reached the final control station. It was massive, with a circular panel filled with blinking lights and wires stretching in every direction. The countdown read 3 minutes, 58 seconds. Lena looked at the complex system in front of her. She had studied many manuals during her journey here, but nothing could fully prepare her for this moment. Her hands hovered over the controls. She pressed the first lever. A spark shot across the wires. The lights flickered. "Stay calm. Stay calm," she whispered again. The second lever moved into place. The lights blinked rapidly. The system responded, but not fully. She had to adjust the third connection carefully. One mistake could cause the surge to happen immediately. Her fingers trembled as she aligned the final connector. Ruar's rumble vibrated through the wall again. Lena could feel it in her chest. The golden warmth in her mind seemed to say, "You are brave. Keep going." With a deep breath, Lena pushed the connector fully into place. The panel blinked green. The system was stabilizing, but she knew she had only moments before the countdown reached 0. Suddenly, the main lights in the tunnel flickered. A soft hum filled the space. Lena's pulse quickened. The display on her wrist ticked down. 1 minute 32 seconds, 1 minute 15 seconds. She pressed the final reset button. A wave of energy coursed through the tunnel. The hum shifted into a soft roar. Sparks danced across the panels, but Lena held her ground. Her small frame felt stronger than ever, as if the energy itself was flowing through her. At that moment, Ruar shifted outside. He lifted his massive head high, golden eyes glowing like twin suns. His rumble grew into a deep rhythmic vibration, almost like music. The energy barrier surrounding him shimmered with bright light. The entire habitat seemed to pulse with anticipation. Lena watched the final display. The system was stable, but the countdown continued. 20 seconds. 15, 10. Her hands shook slightly. She had done everything she could. The surge would happen anyway, releasing the stored energy in the habitat. Lena pressed her forehead against the edge of the panel. She could feel every beat of Roar's rumble through the walls. Then, with 5 seconds left, she whispered softly, "I'm ready." The final second passed. The system released the energy. It was not destructive. It was magnificent. A wave of light flowed through the habitat like liquid sunlight. The walls glimmered. The floors pulsed with blue energy. Even the plants seemed to glow in response. Sparks danced harmlessly through the air. The sound of the release was deep, like a soft drum echoing everywhere at once. The energy barrier around Ruar shattered gently. For the first time, the massive Bruggen beast was free. He lowered his head to the ground, walking slowly toward the source of the release. His golden eyes were calm, wise, and gentle. Lena stepped back from the control panel. Her chest heaved. But her face was bright with exhilaration. She had done it. She had faced the challenge, and she had succeeded. Outside the tunnel, Roar approached. His massive form moved with surprising grace. He lowered his enormous head so Lena could see him clearly. She felt a strange, powerful connection between them. His golden eyes met hers, and for a moment, the world seemed still. The alien scientists rushed toward the tunnel entrance. They were amazed to see both Lena and Roar safe. "She did it," one whispered. "She stabilized the system." Terrell smiled warmly at Lena. "You have shown great courage today. Humans are capable of amazing things. And Roar, he recognizes that." Roar let out a soft, approving rumble. He lowered his massive head until it was near Lena's shoulder. She reached out slowly and touched his fur. It was soft, shimmering with silver-blue light. "You are incredible," she whispered. The habitat around them pulsed gently with the remaining energy from the release. The plants glowed, the walls shimmered, and every living creature seemed calm and safe. The system had released all of its stored energy harmlessly. Lena took a deep breath. She realized something important. Courage was not about size, strength, or speed. It was about facing fear and continuing anyway. And sometimes, the courage of one small human could stabilize even the most powerful systems in an alien world. Roar lowered his head further. Lena leaned against him. The massive Bruggen beast's warmth and steady rumble flowed through her, calming every bit of remaining tension. She had done something extraordinary. Not because she was strong physically, but because she had courage, focus, and a willingness to act. The alien scientists watched in awe. They had seen many remarkable things on Verdanis, but nothing like this. A small human girl, standing her ground, stabilizing the most complex system in the habitat, all while forming a connection with one of the oldest and most powerful creatures on their planet. Terrell nodded. "This moment will be remembered," he said quietly. "It is proof of human bravery and their ability to inspire even the oldest beings on our world." Lena smiled. She felt proud, exhausted, and happy. She had faced a challenge that seemed impossible, and she had succeeded. Ruar's gentle rumble seemed to echo her feelings. They had done it together, human courage and alien wisdom side by side. For a moment, the habitat was still. The glow from the released energy dimmed slowly, leaving a calm, peaceful light. Lena looked around and realized that the world of Verdanis was even more beautiful than she had first seen. It was not only in the forests, the sky, or the glowing plants. It was in the connection between beings, in the courage to act, and in the trust shared between species. And Lena knew this was only the beginning. The glow from the energy release slowly faded, leaving the habitat bathed in a calm, gentle light. Lena stepped back from the final control panel, her chest heaving, her fingers tingling from the excitement of what she had just accomplished. She had faced the impossible and succeeded. Yet, even as her body relaxed, she felt a strange pull in the air, a reminder that the events were not over. Roar, the massive Bruggen beast, lowered his golden eyes toward her. His presence was immense, and the vibration of his rumble filled the space around them like a comforting wind. Lena reached out and touched his shimmering fur. It was soft, yet strong, like the pulse of life itself. "You were amazing," she whispered. "We did it together." Roar let out a deep, steady rumble that Lena understood as approval. For a moment, the habitat was silent except for the residual hum of energy in the walls and the rhythmic vibration of the beast. It was peaceful, and yet the calm carried a sense of anticipation. The alien scientists hurried toward them, their expressions a mix of awe and relief. "She has done more than stabilize the system," one said quietly. "She has connected with Ruar in a way that has never been recorded before. This is unprecedented." Terrell placed a gentle hand on Lena's shoulder. You have shown the courage and determination that humans are known for. Roar recognizes it, and you have earned his trust. Lena felt a warm rush of pride, but she knew the work wasn't done. The habitat had stabilized, but the main reactor still held some residual energy. If left unchecked, the systems could trigger smaller bursts of energy across the facility. The scientists would handle most of it, but there were still maintenance tasks that required a small and nimble presence, someone who could move quickly through the tight tunnels. "You can help us finish this," Terrell said, his voice calm but firm. "It will be safer with you than with any of the others." Lena nodded, determination returning to her eyes. "I'm ready," she said. The scientist guided her back to the maintenance tunnels. Roar followed slowly, his massive head lowered, careful not to crowd her in the narrow space. His golden eyes glowed softly, and his rumble was steady, like a protective heartbeat. Lena crawled through the tunnel again, gripping the walls for balance. The vibration from Roar outside was strong, but not overwhelming. It seemed to guide her movements, a quiet reminder that she was not alone. The path was narrower than before, and the glow from the conduit cast dancing shadows on the walls. Lena moved carefully, checking every panel and cable along the way. Sparks flickered occasionally, but they were harmless. She was focused, precise, and determined. As she reached the next junction, she noticed a panel that was blinking red. It was the last section of the system that needed realignment. The countdown timer on her wrist display read 7 minutes. Lena knelt down, inspecting the wires. The connectors were tangled and misaligned, but she remembered the way she had handled the previous panels. Step by step, she began to straighten the wires, aligning each connector with careful attention. Sparks danced across her fingertips, and she ignored them, focusing on the task at hand. Outside the tunnel, Roar shifted his massive weight. His eyes glowed brighter, and his rumble grew louder. It was as if he could feel her efforts through the walls, sensing her determination and courage. Lena paused for a moment, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath. She could feel his presence, a steady, calming force that reminded her she was not alone. With renewed focus, she aligned the final connector. The panel blinked green, and the system began to stabilize. Lena felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had done it. But the final challenge was yet to come. She needed to activate the main reset to fully synchronize the system. She approached the central console. It was a large circular panel with multiple levers and buttons, all glowing softly. Her fingers hovered over the controls, and she took a deep breath. The countdown ticked down. 3 minutes. 2 minutes. Lena pressed the first lever. Sparks flew and the lights on the panel blinked rapidly. She held her breath, moving to the second lever. The system responded, but not fully. She needed to be precise. One wrong move, and the remaining energy could surge unexpectedly. Roar's rumble grew louder, vibrating through the tunnel walls. Lena felt it in her chest, a deep, rhythmic pulse that reminded her to stay calm. She focused, aligning the final lever with careful precision. The lights on the panel blinked green. The system began to hum with stability. The countdown reached 1 minute. Lena pressed the final button. A wave of energy pulsed through the habitat. Sparks of harmless light danced across the panels, and the glow from the conduit intensified. Lena stepped back, watching as the system synchronized completely. Outside, Roar lowered his massive head to the ground. His golden eyes glowed softly, and his rumble became steady, almost like a gentle sigh. The habitat seemed to exhale with him, a sense of calm spreading through the facility. Lena leaned against the wall, exhausted but exhilarated. She had faced challenges she never imagined possible and had succeeded. She realized something important. Courage was not about size or strength. It was about determination, focus, and the willingness to act even when the odds seemed impossible. The alien scientists entered the tunnel, their faces filled with admiration. "You have done more than we could have expected," one said. "Not only have you stabilized the system, but you have also formed a connection with Roar that is remarkable. This will be recorded in our history." Terrell smiled warmly. "Humans have a unique courage. Lena, you have proven it today. And Ruar, he recognizes it." Ruar lowered his head further, allowing Lena to touch his shimmering fur. She felt a deep sense of connection, a bond that went beyond words. The Bruggen beast had seen her courage, and in return he had shared his strength and wisdom. The habitat was calm now, the residual energy dissipating harmlessly into the air. The plants glowed softly, and the walls shimmered with a gentle light. Lena looked around and realized that the world of Verdanis was even more extraordinary than she had first seen. It was not just in the forests, the glowing plants, or the serene sky. It was in the connection between beings, in the courage to act, and in the trust shared across species. Lena turned to Ruar, feeling a warmth in her chest. "We did it," she whispered. "Together." The Bruggen beast let out a soft rumble, almost like a purr. Lena could feel it vibrating through the floor and walls, a calming rhythm that seemed to echo her own heartbeat. The alien scientists gathered around, their expressions a mixture of relief, pride, and awe. "This is a historic moment," one said softly. "A small human girl has faced a challenge that even experienced adults might struggle with. And she has succeeded." Terrell nodded. "It is a reminder that courage is not measured by size or strength, but by determination and heart. Lena has shown us all the true meaning of bravery." Lena smiled, exhausted but happy. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and a challenge that seemed impossible. Yet she had overcome it. And in doing so, she had formed a bond with one of the most magnificent creatures in the universe. Ruar lowered his head even further, allowing Lena to place her hand on his massive, shimmering fur. She felt a sense of peace and strength unlike anything she had experienced before. The Bruggen beast's rumble was steady, a reminder that courage and friendship could overcome even the greatest challenges. For a moment, the habitat was still. The glow from the remaining energy faded, leaving a calm, peaceful light. Lena looked around and realized that she was part of something extraordinary. She had faced the impossible and succeeded, not alone, but with the support of a wise and powerful ally. She knew that this was only the beginning. The world of Verdanis held many more challenges, mysteries, and wonders. But she also knew that she was capable of facing them. With courage, determination, and the trust of her friend Ruar, she could overcome anything. And somewhere deep within the habitat, the pulse of energy continued, a reminder of what had been achieved. Lena took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of Ruar's presence and the strength of her own heart. She had faced the impossible and come out stronger. She had proven that even a small human could make a difference. The story was far from over, but for now, Lena and Ruar stood together. A small human girl and a massive Bruggen beast, united by courage, trust, and the knowledge that even the greatest challenges could be faced and overcome. The habitat was calm, the light was soft, and in that moment, Lena felt ready for anything. The calm in the habitat was brief. Even though Lena had stabilized the system and completed the final reset, the energy release from the main reactor continued to pulse softly. The glow was beautiful, filling the hallways and rooms with shifting shades of blue and silver. The plants shimmered, the walls seemed to hum, and in the center of it all, Ruar, the massive Bruggen beast, lowered his head close to Lena, golden eyes, steady and watchful. For a moment, Lena allowed herself to relax. She had done everything she could. Her fingers tingled from the excitement, and her chest heaved with pride and relief. Yet she could feel the faint tremor beneath her feet, a reminder that even this peaceful release carried great energy. Terrell approached, his calm blue eyes reflecting the soft light. "The system is stable, but the remaining energy will release in one final surge," he explained. "It will not harm anyone, but you will see the full scale of the release. Everything will glow like the sunrise across the entire habitat." Lena looked at Roar, feeling a mixture of awe and excitement. "I'm ready," she whispered. She could feel his deep rumble vibrating through the floor, like a heartbeat of encouragement. The countdown began on the main display. 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 5, 4. Lena held her breath. The air vibrated with power, and even the normally calm plants swayed gently as though sensing the energy. 3, 2, 1. The final release surged through the habitat. A massive wave of light expanded from the reactor like liquid sunlight. Every wall, every plant, every surface shimmered and glowed. The energy pulse was enormous, but harmless. Sparks of soft blue light danced through the air like fireflies. A gentle, low hum filled the space, like the voice of the planet itself. Ruar's massive form moved with surprising grace. He lowered his head so that Lena could lean against him. The glow reflected off his silver-blue fur, giving him an almost ethereal appearance. Lena reached out and touched him, feeling a sense of warmth and safety. His rumble was steady, almost like a comforting song. The scientists watched from a distance, awed by the spectacle. "It's beautiful," one whispered. "I've never seen anything like it. The energy, it's alive." Terrell nodded. "It is more than energy. It is the bond between human courage and the wisdom of the Bruggen beast. This is why humans are remarkable. They inspire even the oldest and most powerful beings on Verdanis." Lena looked up at Ruar. She felt a deep connection, a trust that went beyond words. "We did it," she whispered. "We really did it." Ruar let out a soft, approving rumble. The vibration filled the room, resonating in Lena's chest. She felt powerful, not because of her size, but because of her courage, determination, and the bond she had formed with the beast. The light spread further, filling the open halls of the habitat. Even the distant gardens and observation decks glowed softly. It was not dangerous. It was a celebration, a visible sign of achievement, bravery, and unity. Lena walked slowly through the hall, her fingers brushing the glowing walls. The energy seemed to hum in response, almost like it recognized her presence. The alien scientists approached cautiously, still amazed at what had happened. "The system has synchronized perfectly," one said. "The energy pulse is dispersing harmlessly, and the bond between Lena and Roar, it has stabilized everything." Lena smiled. She could feel her heart racing, but in a good way. "It was never just me," she said softly. "Roar helped too." The massive Bruggen beast lowered his head further, allowing her to lean against him completely. The golden glow of his eyes reflected off the walls, the floor, and her face. For the first time, Lena realized that bravery was not just about facing challenges alone. It was about connection, trust, and shared courage. As the light wave slowly faded, leaving a calm, gentle glow throughout the habitat, Lena looked around. She saw the scientists quietly observing the aftermath. She saw small creatures emerging from hiding places, drawn to the soft energy. She saw the trees and plants shimmering as if smiling, and she felt Ruar's steady rumble beneath her hands, a reminder that she was never truly alone. Terrell approached once more. "You have done more than we could have imagined," he said. "You have shown human courage, adaptability, and empathy. And you have taught Ruar something as well. He has never bonded with a human like this before." Lena looked up at Ruar, her eyes shining. "We're friends now," she said simply. The beast let out a low, approving rumble. His massive head lowered fully to the ground, and he gently nudged Lena with his nose. She laughed softly, overwhelmed with happiness. Even though he was enormous, there was no fear, only trust, only friendship. The scientists continued to monitor the habitat. They took careful readings of the energy pulse, noting how every system had responded perfectly. The wave had not damaged anything. Instead, it had harmonized with the life around it. The glowing plants, the air, the walls, even the distant observation decks, all had stabilized in perfect unison. "This will be remembered in Verdani's history," one scientist said quietly. "A small human girl has faced the unimaginable and succeeded, and the Bruggen beast has formed a bond unlike any before." Lena felt a sense of pride and relief. She had been terrified at first. She had faced challenges she had never imagined. But in the end, she had succeeded. She had shown courage, determination, and heart. And she had gained a friend for life in Roar. The beast lowered his massive head until it was next to Lena's shoulder. She wrapped her small arms around him gently. The vibration of his rumble filled her body, a comforting reminder of strength, protection, and trust. Outside, the soft blue glow of the energy pulse began to fade completely. The habitat returned to its peaceful state. The light that remained was soft and gentle, like dawn breaking over a quiet forest. Lena stepped back slightly and looked around. The facility had survived the release without harm. Even the plants and creatures seemed calmer, almost as if they were acknowledging the bravery and courage that had made this moment possible. Terrell approached Lena and smiled. "You have proven that humans are more capable than we often realize. Courage is not measured by size, strength, or age. It is measured by determination, empathy, and the will to act. You have shown all of these qualities today." Lena smiled back. "I just did what I had to do. And I had Roar with me." The massive beast lowered his head again, allowing her to touch his shimmering fur. His golden eyes met hers, filled with wisdom and warmth. The rumble that filled the habitat was calm, steady, and peaceful. Lena could feel the bond between them, a connection that was more than friendship. It was trust, courage, and mutual respect. The scientists slowly gathered around, taking careful notes. But they did not interrupt the moment. They had learned something important. Humans were not only capable of facing incredible challenges, but they could also form connections that even the oldest and most powerful beings recognized and respected. Lena looked up at Roar one last time. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Roar let out a soft, low rumble, almost like an answer. Lena felt it in her chest, deep and steady, and she knew that the Bruggen beast understood her completely. The habitat had returned to calm. The light had faded to a gentle glow, the systems had stabilized, and the air was filled with a soft hum of residual energy. Lena felt a wave of happiness, pride, and wonder. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and impossible challenges, and she had succeeded. She realized something important. Courage was not about being the strongest or the fastest. It was about determination, trust, and the willingness to act in the face of fear. It was about connection between species, between hearts, and between minds. Roar shifted slightly, lowering his massive head so Lena could rest against him. She leaned into his fur, feeling the warmth, the strength, and the steady rhythm of his rumble. Together, they had faced the impossible and triumphed. For the first time, Lena understood something deeply. Humans were small in size, yes, but their courage, determination, and heart could shine brighter than the largest, most powerful beings. They could inspire trust, form bonds, and even stabilize forces that seemed beyond control. And in that glowing, peaceful habitat, A small human girl and a mighty Bruggen beast stood side by side, united by courage, trust, and friendship. The story of the day would be remembered forever, not because of fear or destruction, but because of bravery, empathy, and the extraordinary connection between two very different beings who had faced the impossible together. Lena smiled, exhausted but happy. She had done something incredible. She had faced the impossible, and she had succeeded. And as she looked up at Ruar, she knew that their bond would endure for the rest of their lives. The light of Verdanis shone softly through the windows. The air was calm, the plants shimmered gently, and the soft rumble of roar filled the habitat like a heartbeat of safety. Lena took a deep breath and realized she was ready for anything the world might bring. Because courage was not measured by size, strength, or age. It was measured by determination, heart, and the bonds we form. And that day, Lena and Ruar had proven it beyond all doubt.